So you know it's not a crime to be fascinated by all things criminal. And if you do like delving into the underworld, why not join us for a special live show on March 27th at the Cork Opera House. We'll be talking about the making of a cartel and all the wild and crazy stories that happened along the way. So why not join us for this special live show? Tickets from corkpodcastfestival.ie.
Just saying, Eimear, we'll start with how bereft we are.
I know.
But you're not so much.
Well, I am bereft, but I'm kind of happy about it.
I am.
I'm happy to be separated from a certain somebody for a while.
Everybody's off this week. Everybody, NASA, Chloe, Niall. And I feel like I was recording an ad today and I felt like actually it was true. You know, you're feeling, there's all these things that they all do that I don't really appreciate.
But maybe that's good still. No, not good, but maybe like it puts things into, well, you appreciate them anyway, but you know what people would say, that it's only when they take annual leave
I know.
that their employers realise.
Oh my God. I mean,
this is what they do.
I'll tell you what, it's only for a few days, but otherwise the whole place would come crashing down.
Yeah.
You feel like you're competent and then you realise, no.
Yeah. I think you're like, Niall would say, your aversion to technology has sort of hampered you a bit this week because it's all the things. It's all the admin things.
All the admin.
And that's the thing that people don't realise. They think, oh Jesus, you're not sitting there writing stories, but you're doing, like, you're managing so many other things. And
also trying to get a bit of content together for our subscribers.
Of course.
So we've been working away on that. We have a new 5-part. I won't give any more away. Should be ready for next week. And then we have a very big kind of series coming as well, so I've been around the country, been trying to get them nailed down and trying to keep sort of over everything. So we have hardly sat our arses into the studio this week, so we decided we'd do a roundup.
Absolutely.
Which means that we're going to sort of go around a lot of the stories that you have been dealing with, that I've been seeing coming across the radar. I did notice that the ladies are in the news a lot this week, behaving badly.
Yeah. Yeah. And like, I think that people like those stories always do well. Yeah. There's been a few, all very different walks of life as well. But yeah, no, there's been a few. There hasn't been loads of massive breaking stories this week, but there's been a few of those kind of quirky ones where, there's a couple of people that have fallen foul of the law. And
So our favourite family, the Burkes.
Yes.
So Enoch's mother and sister.
Yeah, this time it's the female side.
Yes. Martina is his mother and Amy is his sister. And they have been committed for contempt of court.
Yeah, and I'd say you probably could say, has this been a long time coming? Because obviously, like, there's been a lot of, like, you know, Enoch Burke, it's over 600 days this week that he's been in prison. And obviously, it's been going on since, I think it was August 2022 when he first refused to abide by the school's policy over the transgender students. So it's been a long time, and there's been a lot of court hearings where we've seen the Burke family being ejected and, you know, speaking out at turn in court.
Carried physically from the court.
Yeah, exactly. So this was basically this week the judge said he had enough. He described it as a family circus. And I think he's saying Martina in particular just shouts at him. So they basically said, you're going to jail for 2 weeks. Now, they haven't actually been the warrant, obviously there's been an order, but they haven't actually been arrested. And our colleague in the Irish Independent was outside the Burke's residence yesterday, of Anne Murray, and basically they were turning away grind students because apparently they're really well known in the Castlebar area for grinds. And so the women, I think
they weren't letting anyone in.
Yes, they weren't letting anyone in. Yeah, I
have a picture.
I think there might be a picture. Is there a picture? I think it's a normal enough house, but she's seen Martina and was being driven home by her husband. And apparently they're really well known in that area for helping students, but I don't think the students were getting in yesterday. But I suppose the thing is that the guards haven't actually, like, they know, it's not a case of, like, you know, that they think they're going to flee the country. They know where they are.
So they're in Castlebar. So if they're committed to prison, 2 women will come to Dublin, I presume, to the Docus. There are other options, or the Limerick female.
I think it's just Limerick and the Docus. Now, Enoch was in Mountjoy for a long time and has since been moved to Castlereagh. So obviously that's
nearer his
nearer
home for
his
visits.
home for visits. So
As far as I know, I don't think Castlereagh takes female.
I don't think it takes women. No, I don't think it takes women. So yeah, so they will, and maybe they won't want them together
And also,
either.
again, we spoke about this before. What is really the point of this? This isn't really working, is it?
No, it's not working. But I suppose, like, I don't know how it's going to be stopped either, because obviously they are, degree or disagree, they are really strong in their beliefs.
They are.
They all think, and that's what the judge was saying, that, like, you know, and it was referenced in cases that I think Burke has been in as well, that because he's trying to sue at the moment. He's taking legal action against the school, and that has stalled too. So I think it's been said that they don't like to. Enoch Burke, it's been said by judges that Enoch Burke doesn't like to hear any opinion that he doesn't agree with. He's very strong in his stance. Obviously, some of his family members are actually lawyers or trainee lawyers, so they're representing themselves. So I think it's just where does it go? Like, when are they going to say enough is enough? Because if you've been in prison for over 600 days, you have, like, his earnings were being used to pay for his contempt courts fees and stuff like that. So, you know,
is there anything? And
where else could you make him pay? Where he's going to stop?
From memory, it's cost something like, now, I mean, this is probably dinosaur stuff that I'm going to come out with here.
Yeah.
But it was about 120,000 a year to keep a prisoner in jail.
Mm.
Would that be still right, or is that totally underestimating the cost of it?
No, you could be right there. I don't actually know the exact figure.
So he's been 2 years nearly in jail. Is that right?
Well, it's been
up to
600 days. Now, he was out for a while. He got out on the school holidays. They seemed to let him out. So I suppose it's been nearly 2 years if you put the time all together. Less, just under. But he has been in and out. He was in over Christmas, obviously.
And that's literally just accommodation and food and medical and whatever else.
Yeah.
And that's not including the cost of the time in the courts, the lawyers, the prosecution, everything, the prison officers' time up and down to the courts. Where are we going with it?
This is the thing, and that's what I was trying to say there. I don't know where, like, they don't seem to be. It doesn't seem to be working. Like, the usual punishments that would maybe make someone, like, going after your money and actually going after your freedom and putting you in prison, they would usually be enough to shut people up. But this doesn't seem to be working in this case because they're so strong on their beliefs.
Yes.
So we don't not really know what else can the court do. Just keep then if you're going to keep the two women in prison. So they've been told 2 weeks, but we don't know where that's going to end. So it's hard to know. And, like, we've done stories where, like, he's one of the longest serving contempt court prisoners in the world.
And of course, contempt of court, you go away to prison and you come back and you have to kind of give your commitment to the court when you come back that you're not going to be in contempt of court again.
Yeah.
So the two women, the mother, Martina, and the sister, Amy, who are shouting and kind of, constantly interrupting the proceedings, as Justice Brian Cregan said. Are they going to stop that from 2 weeks in prison? Are they going to come back into the court and do the whole thing over again? And then you're into this same gerbil wheel with them. So you now have 3 members of the Burke family, if so.
Yeah. I don't know if they'll keep, maybe they won't keep them in. Are they going to be as strong with them? Because obviously they're not the original complainant in the case.
But I mean, Martina, certainly the mother, has been physically removed from the courts, the High Court. I think nearly every time that there's a case that she's at, she seems to be taken out.
Yeah.
2 legs and 2 arms. And again, wasn't she in the US when they were in the US when they also caused the scene there? And I think she had to be removed. Yeah,
was that around the time of the inauguration of Donald Trump? Yeah, no, she was. And it was referenced in court this week as well that Martina just continued by the judge that the mother continues to shout. And Amy, the sister, who is a trainee solicitor, that she was been described as being just basically argumentative and difficult. So I really don't know where it's going to go. It's kind of fascinating. Like, in one sense, it's like, is there sort of some almost like as it's been described, they obviously are so strong in their beliefs, but at the same time, they don't seem to want to be able to meet anybody in any understanding of different views to theirs. So it's hard to know how you will come up with a solution.
It's kind of like dealing with a parent dealing with a child who's realised that, you don't have to comply with rules.
Exactly.
And you're sort of, then all the threats are just bouncing back.
Yeah.
I don't care.
Yeah.
And it's this, ugh.
Yeah, Niall often plays as a clip of, is it the, what's that movie or not movie, the TV series Sopranos,
Yeah.
where it dawns on them, the parents, that they can't basically, oh crap, because they know that they can't discipline the daughter anymore, that she's just not listening to what they're saying.
It happens
you lose your power.
It's this moment that you go,
Your
okay,
power's
what have I
gone.
left now?
Yeah.
You have to go into negotiation terms.
Yeah.
Anyway, so that's the Burkes, which are just, regularly subject to podcasting here and stories within our crimeworld.com website. Now, there was another group of women in the Tipperary area,
Yes.
Rathkeale, Limerick, who were behaving badly as well.
Yeah.
Really badly.
Yeah, this is quite a serious case in terms of it's been around for a few months now, but I suppose it came to its conclusion this week in terms of that they were jailed. So there was 4 women, but 3 of them were jailed for basically knifing this grandmother in the face, and they beat her with sticks as well. So they all know each other. So one of the accused was actually a cousin of the victim. And the victim's name is Christina McCarthy Neharty. So they're all living in Rathkeale, and basically she was left with like permanent scars to her face. She was set upon by this woman, and they turned up. She was in bed, but I think the background to this is that they knew each other, and there being an incident on a bus. I think there was like a party bus the day before, and the words were had and accusations were made. So she woke up then the next day, and this group of women were in her bedroom, and she was in bed obviously. And she said, as described at one point, hiding under the bed, that she was crawling. She was trying to get away from them, and she started crawling. She said, I can still see their faces and hear myself roaring for mercy to let me go. I don't know how I survived it. They wanted me dead. So, there's pictures of them on crimeworld.com. And so, because they're related, there's another Harty, so Nora Josie Harty and her daughter Mary Ellen Daly, so mother and daughter, they were both jailed for 3.5 years, but the final year was suspended. So they pleaded guilty to assault causing harm, which is quite serious enough assault.
And the victim actually said that Daly had told her during this attack, I'm cutting you up, I'm killing you.
Yeah. Yeah, they did. Yeah, and they said you're done, and it was a really vicious assault. And there's 2 other women, Christine Casey, she's actually from Tala, and she pleaded guilty to violent disorder while in possession of a baseball bat. So this was imagine waking up to that scene. There was also knives involved, and then Rita Johnson pleaded guilty to trespassing at the victim's home. So she just got community service instead of a sentence. But quite a serious thing. And the woman was kind of strong in her victim impact, where she said that she saw them coming for her, and she's in her 60s as well. That's not something that you wouldn't expect at any age, but that, it's
very out there situation.
Yeah, exactly.
Jason Hennessy Sr., who was murdered in the Brown Steakhouse Christmas Eve of 2023. Yeah, I was going to say 24. Yeah, the Christmas Eve always gets you. Anyway,
it's funny because it's actually only 2 years ago, but because it was literally 2 days or a few days before the end of the year,
So it's 23. So anyway, he was killed during Christmas Eve party celebrations there, and his attacker was then overcome, and there has been, I don't know 7 people in jail in relation to this, or maybe a little bit more.
Yeah.
Now, his widow, Veronica Marr, who's a 55-year-old woman, has denied possession of crime earnings and setting an XL bully dog on Gardaí.
Yeah.
So she has been before the district court and is now facing trial in the circuit court on the charges after the DPP directed summary disposal in the district court on a guilty plea only. In other words, if she pleaded guilty from the district court, it could remain at that level.
Yeah.
If she was pleading not guilty, the trial had to be heard at a higher court.
Yeah, and then you're taking a gamble then, because obviously there's a higher sentencing purposes, and if a trial goes ahead in the circuit court, it has to be in front of a jury, whereas it would be a judge in a district court. So so she's obviously pleaded not guilty to those charges. She's accused of basically, I think it was March of last year, setting a restricted breed, which is an XL bully dog, loose in her garden, and there was Gardaí on patrol in the area at the time, and it's alleged they had to flee, that basically the dog chased them and they had to flee. And then it's also alleged that she was caught with over €1,000 of money in her possession, which Gardaí claim are the proceeds of crime. So yeah, so that's obviously going to happen. I think that there was a date set for I think it was in April. So she's basically being remanded on continuing bail, which means she doesn't have to stay in custody, but it's been remanded back until April. So she'll be served with a book of evidence then. But like, this is obviously, it's been said about how the dogs, I think there was an order to destroy the dogs and then that was halted. So I'm not actually sure what happened there, but she kind of it had been heard in previous court appearances where the dogs were really precious to her because they were a memory of her husband, Jason Hennessy Sr. Obviously, that was a really Jason Hennessy Sr. was obviously, it was a horrific death, and it hit a lot of, it was quite shocking at the time.
Now, there's a healthcare worker who's hit the headlines, a Dubliner called Sonia Hudson. She's 39 and she has been found guilty.
Yes.
Or did she plead?
She
found guilty in a non-jury trial last year. Sentencing has been adjourned for her. The court has heard she ripped the hair from her sister-in-law's head, leaving the cancer survivor bald and devastated. So what has gone on here? Yeah,
so basically this woman, she's a mum of three and she'd denied assault causing harm to Louise Connolly and assaulting Louise Connolly's partner outside their home in 2021. And obviously she was found guilty by a judge. It was basically said that, she ripped the hair from her head, that she left her, that she was acting like something possessed, which, is obviously is quite strong evidence. And, the victim had said previously that she came to her house after a night of drinking. She basically charged down her driveway, pulled her sleeves up, thumped on her door, and then attacked her in front of her family. And she said she didn't care who was there. She wanted me outside just so she could, in her words, kill me fucking stone dead. So that's what's been said in court.
Okay.
And she said it was the victim who said she was like something possessed. She said she also charged at her partner, even though her partner was unwell. So, it's...
her partner was unwell?
Yeah, her partner was unwell. And she basically said that she had a previous cancer battle, the victim, and her hair meant the world to her.
Yeah.
And she said
she had to attend doctors to take hair growth supplements and also out and wear extensions.
Yeah, she said it was heartbreaking. Yeah. So she said that was really difficult for her to deal with.
Which strength does it need to pull hair from your head?
I wouldn't like to ever find it.
Nor would I.
Yeah. Well, to pull that much hair, it would be I don't know how, it'd probably come out easily enough, but it would really, really hurt. If you ever think of ever being waxed or anything like that, it's not nice.
And Hudson's barrister said, although she'd contested the case, she accepted she had utterly failed to control her temper.
Yeah.
And wished she'd acted differently. I'm sure she does.
Yeah, of course.
No previous convictions.
No.
And what happened was wildly out of character.
Yeah, it's kind of it's an overreaction.
There had been a complete breakdown of familial.
I was going to say, yeah. So she's probably learned her lesson from that in terms of losing family members too. But I think anytime any kind of attack in that nature anyway is not good. But a cancer patient, in particular, it's always going to not go your favorite way in court, isn't it? Not like.
And so far, she's been told to take an anger management course, but all options are on the table, and that's a warning that, the judge will consider a custodial sentence.
Yeah, yeah. I'd be surprised now if she's no previous convictions. She probably won't get a custodial sentence, and maybe that's kind of that.
Why do we not expect women to behave like this?
Yeah, I don't know, because I suppose it doesn't, you don't see it as much. But I suppose the lower level, that's obviously a district court assault. So, it's a lower, the court isn't going to, I don't think she could be jailed for an extended, I don't know, is it 18 months? But I suppose we're used to seeing we're not used to seeing them go into the more serious courts, but we do see these kind of incidents. But this in particular is kind of a nasty one, really.
Exactly.
It's been put back to next week, so I suppose the judge will decide
follow
then.
that when it comes up.
Yeah.
Okay, well that's the end of the first half of this, and we're going to move on to some other stories in the second half. Have you checked out our new website, crimeworld.com, where you'll find ad-free exclusive content, including our new series, The Science of Fear, about the rise and fall of Daniel Kinahan's right-hand man, Thomas Bomber Kavanagh. Subscribers can listen to all 9 parts, but for those of you not yet signed up, here's an extract from part 1. It's July 25th. Ipswich Crown Court. 3 of Ireland's most notorious criminals flicker onto the courtroom screens from prisons across England. Thomas Bomber Kavanagh appears on Zoom from Belmarsh Prison, looking surprisingly tanned and trim in a dark grey t-shirt. Beside him on the screen, his lieutenants Gary Flash Vickery and Daniel Canning appear from other prisons, fidgeting in their seats. In contrast, Kavanagh sits bolt upright, with arms folded across his chest, and listens intently in an interview room with bathroom blue walls. As a female prison guard nips in and out of Kavanagh's interview room, the exasperated judge, Justice Martin Levitt, stops proceedings to scold, "We'll just wait for Belmarsh to stop coming in and out of the room because it's interrupting us yet again." Over the morning, there are various arguments set out by wigged barristers who call each other "my learned friend" in clipped British accents. But the outcome is clear. Kavanagh has 3 months to pay back more than €1.26 million in criminal assets, or face another 12 years in prison. One by one, the court strips him of his assets: luxury watches, designer clothes, equity in a Majorcan property, rental income, cash seized by police, and even the cost of a family holiday to Cancun. And the biggest blow, his half share of a fortified Tamworth mansion, the marble-floored stronghold where he reigned like an Italian mob boss in the English Midlands. The court was told his wife, Joanne Byrne, the sister of David Byrne, who was murdered in the Regency, had not responded to a court notice. Kavanagh, sitting at a wooden desk in Belmarsh, betrays no sign of emotion at the prospect of losing the family home. But behind that blank stare is a man who once weaponised fear with precision. Police wiretaps revealed a mobster, almost scientific, in his obsession with torture, casually calculating exactly how much pain he could inflict, terrifying men into loyalty without paralysing them completely. Britain's National Crime Agency finally brought him down, jailing him for 26 years. Now, here in Ipswich Crown Court, they're dismantling what's left of his empire. And then, one final twist. It appears that Bomber couldn't do his time. In a scheme that wouldn't have been out of place in a Guy Ritchie movie, Kavanagh tried to shave some time off his 21-year sentence for drug smuggling by orchestrating a plot from behind bars. Hoping to dupe authorities into handing him a lighter sentence, he tried to lead the National Crime Agency officers to a weapons stash. Instead, he was rumbled and slapped with another 6 years. We spoke to some of the NCA officers who were involved in taking Bomber down, including one who was tasked with following the money. It was a job that took him across international borders.
This particular case, I would say, was complex because we had overseas assets in Ireland and in Spain, Lanzarote, and there was also the inquiries when pulling together the investigation as well. Because there was Dutch hauliers involved. There was drugs were coming in, say, from the Netherlands. They were coming in from Spain. So there was quite a lot of international partners we were involved with when we were pulling this together. So the actual value of the drugs, which was agreed on between the prosecution and defence, eventually was 10,470,833, and that was it was 3,750,833 of cannabis and 6,720,000 pounds worth of cocaine. The benefit figure for Thomas, with all the other assets involved, we agreed on just over 12 million of benefit from his criminality. And we started off somewhere around 15, 16 million. So we've come down about 4 million And the majority of that is the difference in the value of the drugs. Knowing the significance of him, it was really great result to get him convicted and now to get the confiscation order against him as well and have that benefit hanging over him.
Officers who went through the rows of designer gear in Bomber's gated mansion were astonished at the sheer scale of luxury goods. The drug proceeds had been splurged on luxury and security in almost equal measure. The place was sealed, reinforced doors, bulletproof glass, and cameras covering every approach. Inside was a display of wealth that would rival that of Imelda Marcos. Money was lavished on Moncler jackets, a shoe collection worthy of a Saudi princess, and a watch collection fit for a Premier League dressing room. The list goes on. 30 pairs of identical Armani jeans, Gucci labels, a collection of handbags that a Kardashian would be proud of. This was how the cartel's profits were laundered, through spending sprees and rolls of cash handed across the shop counters in Harrods. The definition of ill-gotten gains was hanging in wardrobes in his luxury mansion in Tamworth. Cartel members know the risk of peddling drugs across international borders, but when officers start rifling through their six-figure wardrobes, confiscating their luxury watches and handbag collections, it does hit a nerve.
A lot of criminals are quite happy, getting imprisoned for the crime is part of the job. But when you actually say, now we're going to take all your assets, that's when it gets personal, because that's the reason they're committing crime, is for their lifestyle. That's their job. And we are then taking it all away or getting an order to take it away. So that's when it can get quite personal.
The court's inventory of Bomber's lavish spending gave an inkling into just how far removed he'd become from the day-to-day drug trade. He oversaw the delegation of smuggling routes, of finance and of enforcement to trusted lieutenants. The proceedings in Ipswich Crown Court didn't just mark the fall of Thomas Bomber Kavanagh's personal empire, they also signalled something far bigger. Bomber's collapse marks the first true fracture in what had long looked like an impenetrable underworld machine. The cartel's chief strategist, the man who kept its international supply lines running smoothly, had finally been taken down. Seen as untouchable for years, his sentence for importing tens of millions of pounds of drugs was a major shot across the bow of the Kinahan cartel. And just 2 weeks after Kavanagh's sentencing, the United States raised the stakes.
And so today, the United States Department of State is pleased to announce a reward of up to $5 million for information leading to the financial disruption of the KTCO or the arrest and convictions of its leaders, Christopher Vincent Kinahan, Daniel Joseph Kinahan, and Christopher Kinahan Jr.
You've been listening to an extract from our 9-part series, The Science of Fear, about the rise and fall of Daniel Kinahan's right-hand man, Thomas Bomber Kavanagh. To listen to all 9 parts, log on to crimeworld.com and hit subscribe.